Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yo to Bolt fam, it's the director. Chargers fans, welcome to this special edition of our Victory Tuesday episode. But this isn't just any Victory Tuesday or any victory episode. This is the victory episode where we can finally say it. Say it with me, Bolt fam. The Chargers are going to the playoffs. Justin Herbert is going to the playoffs. Say it again, the Chargers are going to the postseason. Let's go, Bolt fam. Oh my god, I'm so excited. The first time in the history of this channel, which is what 2 or 3 years old, we can finally say the Chargers are going to the postseason for the first time since 2018, and the hype levels are at an all-time high, man. This Chargers team has really turned it around. You know, Monday's game was awesome, okay? I think a lot of us expected the Chargers were going to be able to handle business there, but from where we started, where the Chargers were just weeks ago, the most injured team in the NFL, nobody picking the Chargers to win almost any matchup, to where they are today. It's been a very magical season. Again, we called it maybe the Cinderella season of 2022. The Chargers may just be that team. It's starting to come to fruition. And wow, how many things had to go right for the Chargers to clinch the postseason so early. It's going to be an awesome episode today, guys. We're going to riff a lot of it and have a lot of fun with retelling what happened on Monday night. They started getting into the juicy details of postseason coverage, man. Who the Chargers playing, what we should be doing to prepare. It's going to be a fun one, guys. Before we do get started, quick shout out to the sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Had a lot of fun with it yesterday. If you guys did not catch it, we went in on a halftime slate there, and it was a lot of fun, man. If you guys want to get in on the action, certainly as the Chargers have 2 more games in the season, use code DIRECTOR to match your first deposit up to $100 and get in on the action while it's still here in the NFL season. Finally, some announcements. The Director's Holiday Giveaway has concluded. First off, Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope everybody had a fantastic holiday. We're getting very excited for New Year's here as well. We are also concluded with the Director's Holiday Giveaway. If you guys want to know the winners for this, we're going to be announcing it at the end of today's video. The emails have already been sent out. Congratulations to the winners. Now, before we do kick off, guys, hit us up with a like and sub. If you do enjoy this Chargers content, small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it, baby. Lights, camera, action. The Chargers are going to the playoffs. Oh my God, dudes. Here we go. The Chargers at Colts, playoff-bound post-game report. Game was pretty cut and dry, man. I think the biggest thing we're all thinking is the Chargers finally going to the postseason in the Justin Herbert era for the first time. Just getting to see that man play in the postseason is going to be a treat. Not just for Chargers fans, but I would say for NFL fans in general if you're not playing us in the postseason. Let's jump into some of the fun stuff that we saw in this game and some observations about the team as we're getting ready for playoff, we'll say form, as the Chargers are approaching that just in a couple of weeks here. First off, let's talk a little bit about the Chargers defense, right? This defense has been for real. Now, the Chargers defense, we'll say, was a lot, I would say, very overwhelming for the majority of this season, giving up how many, 25-plus point games, 30-plus point games. It was getting a little sketchy out there. And if you're a Chargers fan, since last season, you were expecting a lot more out of this defense, considering that we went out there, despite all the available names, and hired Brandon Staley, the defensive guru, and it just didn't seem to be coming together, especially with all the defensive talent that we brought onto the roster this last offseason. Well, now, finally, as stars are beginning to come back, as Brandon Staley's beginning to figure out this roster, understand the strengths and weaknesses of his players, as the players themselves are beginning to step up, the defense, the accolades of this defense are beginning to show, and it's really starting to come together. Couple of the guys I wanted to highlight here, okay, because we don't have dedicated segments to these guys quite yet. Kenneth Murray, man, this dude has been seriously stepping up, and again, a lot like a lot of other Chargers on this list, maybe a bit of a rough start to start the season. He's really starting to come into his own, and as a lot of us were expecting at the top of the offseason, we would think that his last year may be a bit of a victim of circumstance, right? A lot of of things went wrong for Kenneth Murray, including injury and personal issues. Finally, in 2022, trying to leave that behind, stepping into that light, trying to prove that first-round price that we paid for him a couple years back. It's starting to kind of form here. In coverage, he's starting to show a lot of improvement. Versus the run, he's been a madman. And of course, in this game, was it a sack or 2 sacks? Starting to show that vigor in the pass rush as well. Kenneth Murray's really turning out to be a very solid player for the Chargers, and coming at a very good time as the Chargers, again, trying to get in playoff form, are going to need all the help that they can get across the entire defense. Kenneth Murray, congratulations to him. The defense as a whole, however, let's talk about the Brandon Staley effect finally starting to take shape here. You guys want to know a crazy stat that we pulled out here? The Chargers over the last 3 games, 34 points scored. Not per game like we were getting used to at the middle of the season. Combined. 34 points combined. And these are versus some pretty decent teams. Maybe Indianapolis not so much, but Tennessee and Derrick Henry. Miami with Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. 34 points is an accolade. And that, to me, shows enough consistency that this isn't a fluke. This isn't a 1 or 2 game deal. This is actually signs of things to come, a sign of consistency that we can expect going forward. The Chargers defense has really turned a corner and showed us that once in the postseason, they're going to be that team that nobody wants to play, because if they can shut down Tua and the Dolphins, they can shut down almost anybody. And we've seen this in games past as well. Sure, we lost to the Chiefs this year. Swept. Definitely sucks. Kind of hope to see them in the postseason. We put up a heck of a fight defensively. So if anything, this team, in finding identities, in finding a rhythm, and finding a way to create chaos on defense, they're hitting a stride. And we have seen now enough of a sample size that I think we can start predicting a little consistency here. And it's, again, coming at a very good time. This defense isn't an accident. This defense isn't an anomaly. This defense is for real. And that is something that is extremely important moving forward as the Chargers. Again, I'm not going to say the Chargers are going to take their next 2 opponents lightly, even though they have clinched a playoff spot. It's going to be very important to continue building on that, because with a very strong defense, your odds to not just go into the postseason, but make it deep into the postseason, definitely go up. Talk a little bit about the specifics on defense here, starting with the DBs. Man, these DBs are on fire. First off, Derwin, man, hope he's okay. The last thing that we heard is that he's in concussion protocol. Don't know the status past that. We do have a few weeks before going into the postseason for him to heal up, but we got to chill a little bit, Derwin. Now, I do not agree with the ejection, okay? The man's out there playing passionately. It's a man's sport. We all get that, but maybe a little bit too much oomph on impact there, Derwin. Of course, if you guys missed it, Derwin James, huge hit on one of the Colts wide receivers. That got him ejected from the game and ultimately put both these players in the concussion protocol. So certainly hope that Derwin's okay. Certainly hope the other player, forget his name, I do apologize, is also okay. And both these guys get cleared soon enough to return to the field. We'll talk a little bit more about Derwin here in just a little bit. The other DBs we want to mention, right? In this game, maybe not so much as a huge impact, but Alohi Gilman, who stepped in lieu of a Derwin James. He was certainly a force in this game. That QB sneak with Nick Foles around the middle of the game there, he was one of the main guys that stopped that. So he was an impact when he came in and stepped in for Derwin James. But in weeks past, man, that dude has really, again, like a lot of Chargers, been turning a corner. Michael Davis, the other guy, too, I wanted to highlight, dude. He's been having a fantastic bounce-back season. We talked a lot on the stream about if the Chargers individually had a Comeback Player of the Year award, which player would it go to? Because you can make a really good case for Kenneth Murray, and I would say that the front runner for me would actually be Michael Davis, dude. He has been absolutely on fire. I saw a couple of days ago a post talking about Michael Davis leading the NFL in passes defended with 10. Now, he hasn't been able to seal the deal up until this game in interceptions. He does log his first one of the season. He's been absolutely on fire. Additionally, Asante Samuel Jr. going in there for the interception. He's been absolutely fantastic all year long. You could almost say these guys are cornerback 1A and quarterback 1B. They've been really holding down the fort for J.C. Jackson, which, again, we don't have any updates on his situation, but I will highlight that if what we're seeing right now is the new identity of the Chargers defense, upon JC's return, I'm thinking he's going to fit in just fine. The Chargers playing a lot of press man lately, and it's a trait that a lot of these cornerbacks hold, a lot of these DBs hold as a strength And finally, we're starting to see it being utilized. Press man really starting to come into effect, not only helping the Chargers DBs, but as well as this next unit that we're going to talk about, the pass rush, man. The pass rush has risen. It feels like everybody got a slice yesterday. Kyle Van Noy, Chris Rumpf, Khalil Mack, Morgan Fox, even number 59 of whose name I forget. Absolutely crazy how many sacks the Chargers logged yesterday versus the Colts. Poor Nick Foles, man. He's been waiting in the wings, maybe trying to shake off a little bit of rust, and here come the Chargers and that wrecking truck, the Mack truck attack, dude, coming in there and wreaking havoc with 7 sacks. 7 sacks on Nick Foles. And the Colts have been kind of known the past couple of years being pretty decent teams in terms of pass protection. Sure, it's not the Jeff Saturday days, not on the field at least, but the Chargers and 7 sacks, that is absolutely an accolade. And I feel like the reason I wanted to put these two segments back to back, the pass rush and the DBs, is because that works hand in hand. Okay, with the solid coverage, you're going to find more time for the pass rushers to get home, and vice versa. More time or more efficient pass rushing allows less time for your coverage to have to stay step in step with their man. Either way, you guys understand what I'm saying here. These guys go hand in hand. They've both been performing at a very, very high level, and the Chargers, who again have not been great in terms of pass rush all season long, have also turned a corner. And there's a very, very important asterisk to put next to that statement. The Chargers pass rush has been absolutely amazing. And guess who's coming back in a couple of days, hopefully? Joey Bosa. If you guys missed it on the live stream yesterday, Joey Bosa is expected to return to practice this week. And if the Chargers defense has been this good without Joey Bosa, just wait until number 97 returns to the field. That duo of Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa is going to be that much more insane with how the pass or with how the DBs have been performing, and the pass rushers outside of Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack have been performing. Bravo to these units. And again, these units combined are going to be a very big problem for a lot of teams in the postseason. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about our boy Justin Herbert. Now, I'm going to start the statement off by saying Justin Herbert did not have his best game on Monday, and that's okay, right? You're going to see a couple of those games, even with the elite quarterbacks in the league. That being said, he did enough to get the job done. A lot of clutch plays. Again, not his best game, but certainly a game that he had a hand in the Chargers' victory. But the reason I'm bringing up Justin Herbert, this segment called Herbert Finally Has Help. Now, this comes along the front of a lot of different units, okay? I would say the offensive line might not be one of them right now. The offensive line definitely crumbled versus the Colts, thus not giving Justin Herbert a lot of time to operate. Maybe a reason why Justin Herbert didn't have one of his best games of the season. But outside of that, the biggest contributing factor to this is going to be your defense. How many weeks this season, Bolt fam, did we see Justin Herbert go out there, put on a heroic act, all for it to fall short at the last second? Very many of them. Finally, the Chargers defense is giving Justin Herbert a chance. Sure, with how many turnovers we had on Monday, the Chargers should have put up way more points than they did. 20 points is respectable, but I'm thinking with how that game was going defensively, you should have put up at least 30 points. And there are things that Justin Herbert could have done individually to better our odds at that. But the defense has finally stepped up, and now Justin Herbert isn't out there playing superhero, playing alone, right? Being the guy carrying the team. Finally, he's got units around him that are helping. Additionally, the wide receivers, the weapons on offense have become available to him. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, who's becoming one of those ridiculous playmakers in the NFL, and then, of course, Austin Eckler. These guys being back and available to Justin Herbert is certainly helping him out as well. Now, we did mention the offensive line a little bit. I did want to kind of tease a little bit a topic that I want to cover maybe later in a video this week. The Chargers are going to get a significant amount of help there, hopefully soon with the return of Rashawn Slater. We've talked a lot about how significant the return of Joey Bosa is going to be. I'm telling you guys, Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater, maybe equally as important to both sides of the ball. Joey Bosa, that cornerstone of the pass rush. And I would say, dudes, there's a door, okay? I'm gonna share with you guys an analogy real quick, okay? Justin Herbert in this offense, think of Justin Herbert as a juggler, right? And he's got to keep a door closed in front of him. That door is your offensive line. That's what's protecting him from someone busting in and trying to disrupt the juggling act, right? Well, right now, Justin Herbert's juggling with one hand. And that door keeps flying open. He's keeping having to close it. There's one thing that can help you avoid that, a key. And that key is Rashawn Slater. If he can put that key in the door and lock it, he can start focusing his act with both hands and more concentration on those trick plays, right? More concentration on hitting those players deep, find more opportunities to really show what he's got in terms of his talent. And it all is because of that key, Rashawn Slater. If you can lock that door, set and forget, find a rhythm on offense that gives you so much more possibilities to do things that you just couldn't do before. So there's a little sneak peek, okay, guys? Rashawn Slater and his potential return, that is very, very huge. And that's something we're going to cover a little bit later. And possibly, we're going to have a lot of postseason coverage as we continue on. So Justin Herbert finally has help via the talent on offense as well as the defense. And the defense is certainly a very, very big one. Next up, Third and Keenan is alive. The hills are alive with the sound of Third and Keenan, man. This is insane, dudes. Now, what's really kind of crazy is that Keenan Allen is directly connected to a specific stat, okay? The Chargers have really turned around on third downs the last few weeks. If you guys remember in the middle of the season, third down, very difficult for the Chargers to pull off. We had a horrendous stat for very many weeks in the terms of Chargers third down conversions. Well, for the past couple of weeks, it's looked very, very good. So good, and as a matter of fact, the Chargers starting to keep pace with all these other opponents, including, I think, the most important game for the third down stat was versus the Miami Dolphins. Is it a coincidence that this third down conversion rate has drastically improved since the return of Keenan Allen? I think not. I think Keenan is a direct contributor, or I would say a direct reason why the Chargers' third down conversion rate has dramatically risen. And this, again, is part of that magical formula of being a very powerful team in the postseason. If you can't convert on third downs, you're done. And Keenan Allen turning out to be one of the most important pieces on offense because he directly improves that stat tenfold. The Chargers looking fantastic. Keenan, who was robbed of a touchdown, by the way. I don't know. There's a couple of different angles if you look at it. If you guys don't remember, Keenan Allen hit in his stride on the sideline, ran it all the way in for a touchdown. Turns out he stepped out of bounds. It depends on what angle you look at. I think he was in. Had a fantastic day. Even despite that, very many catches. He's had over 300 yards in the past, 3 weeks or something like that, 4 weeks since his return, something like that. He's been a target machine like he's always been. The same old Keenan Allen, all reliable out there, keeping drives alive, and the Chargers offense as healthy as it can possibly be with his contributions. Let's see some Slayers in the chat today, baby. Keenan Allen is back, and he's definitely showing he's a very valuable piece of this offense. You know who's also a valuable piece of this offense? This man right here, Austin Eckler. I think we have to all come to accept that Austin Eckler is the missile on offense for this Chargers team. The Chargers have a lot of different avenues in which they can score. Of course, we almost saw a Keenan Allen touchdown on Monday, but they also got Donald Parham, the 6'8" target there at tight end. They got Mike Williams, a 6'4" wide receiver. They got Gerald Everett, the tight end. And of course, they got the running backs outside of Austin Eckler. They got Josh Palmer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But week in and week out, Austin Eckler goes out there and proves that he's probably the best option for the Chargers to attack in the red zone. And that is something that, honestly, we can look at and say, oh, man, we're panicking. We have to be able to spread the ball around. We have to be able to pass into the red zone. Those remain true. The Chargers need to try and figure something out in the red zone to involve more pieces in this offense. But until then, I have a lot of faith in number 30, man. This guy has been ridiculous this season. He leads all players in terms of scoring touchdowns for the past, couple of seasons. It's not even close. Wish I had the stat right in front of me, but Austin Eckler is the touchdown machine. And as we continue to figure out the offense in the red zone, I have all the faith in the world that Austin Eckler could punch it in via on the ground or through the air. So big ups to number 30, who got 2 touchdowns on Monday, continues to prove he's probably the most valuable fantasy football player in the NFL right now. Bravo to number 30. Next up, this is a big one, boys. Brandon Staley has finally earned our trust back. Now, this is going to be a twofer, okay? For one, Brandon Staley, congratulations. Bravo. A lot of Chargers fans, myself including, talking a lot about how we are worried about Brandon Staley. We're grilling his job security, the hot seat, the hot seat, the hot seat. He has really turned things around since the bye week. So part 1, congratulations to Brandon Staley. Part 2, we're going to eat crow here a little bit, okay? Brandon Staley has what it takes to be an elite coach in the NFL. It took a lot of time. It took returning talent. It took circumstances to change. This guy's really turning it around in terms of his dojo, which is the defense. that defensive guru, that mind, that precious mind, right? That beautiful mind that we had hired a couple of seasons back. It is finally starting to be proven out there on defense. The Chargers, I think, have been the number one passing and the number one run defense. Maybe not the number one run defense, but one of the number one categories. Very high in terms of performing defenses the past 3 weeks. And it's all because, I would say, of Brandon Staley keeping this team together despite all of the setbacks, the injuries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sure, I think he still has a lot to do in terms of his managing of his coordinator, in terms of course, the offense coordinator, Joe Lombardi. And he still has a lot of room to grow. But that trait is starting to be proven as true, okay? He's very good at what he does on the defense. A lot of people ask me, what is still my stance on, Sean Payton and all that kind of stuff. We'll talk a little bit about that. Don't want to muddy the water too much. I still think the option of Sean Payton is not a bad idea, certainly now that Sean Payton wants to bring in Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. But as of right now, my faith in Brandon Staley is starting to slowly but surely and persistently be built back up with every week that he puts up a very nice defensive, elite defensive performance. So bravo to Brandon Staley. Chargers fans, myself included, collectively owe this man an apology from what we've said at some point this season, okay? Bravo to Brandon Staley, man. He's really turning this thing around. Now, we do have to mention, because the Chargers, and everybody's going to be having this conversation, okay? Not just me, but other Chargers fans, other Chargers content creators, and certainly the Chargers coaches out there in the front office. There's things that the Chargers have to work on, because yes, we have clinched a postseason berth, okay? We are in the postseason. Nothing can knock us out at this point. Now it's time to start fine-tuning things and figure things out in terms of how can we be the most competitive team we can be once we are in the postseason, okay? Now that we are in, how do we make it as far as we can? The biggest aspect of that is going to be the offense, okay? This segment called The Last of the Lombardis. Now, if there was one thing that you could nitpick about this game, because the defense played beautifully. Justin Herbert put up a pretty decent performance. Not his best, but a decent performance. And a lot of good effort in terms of the offensive playmakers out there, the players, okay? The play calling remains that thing where we just don't know what to do. And the Chargers fans, I myself included, certainly getting a little fatigued with what we're seeing in terms of play design from Joe Lombardi. This is something that drastically needs to improve. And like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think a lot of that can be unlocked with a Rashawn Slater, but you've got to plan outside of that. I know this team was expecting Rashawn at left tackle all season. I know that he allows you to do a lot of things that other teams cannot. But we have to figure something out that works without Rashawn Slater. Because who knows if we get him back? And if we get him back, who knows if something else happens, knock on wood. We've got to sort things out. Now that we're going to the postseason, we need to believe that Joe Lombardi can sort things out, that, he will sit down, talk to Brandon Staley, and come up with something new. Come up with a way to roll out Justin Herbert, find the deeper parts of the field, roll out maybe another wide receiver with a bit more speed, maybe Mike Williams. Try and figure out a way to get these DBs to back off. Because right now, the dink and dunk, it's only hurting the offense, and it's becoming very, very predictable. And if you go into the postseason as a predictable offense, you're going to get chewed up and spit out. The defense is going to give you a shot at winning any given game, but if the offense can step up, boy, the Chargers are a very dangerous team. So we couldn't go through this video without talking a little bit about the offense. I will admit that maybe we have been a bit harsh on Joe Lombardi. He has done some good things this season, but as a whole, I still do think there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of creativity, pushing the ball downfield, and ultimately using the quarterback that you have at your disposal. Not every team in the NFL is as fortunate to have a quarterback named Justin Herbert. We've got to be able to use him to his full potential, all right? Finally, one of the biggest questions I'm being asked since we have been confirmed making the postseason, is it time to rest our stars, okay? What I mean by this is that nothing can push the Chargers out of the postseason now. We are in. Nothing that can happen from here on out is going to push the Chargers out. So that's begged the question from a lot of Chargers fans, should we rest our players? Keep them fresh for the postseason and not risk injury? Well, I'm going to say the answer to that is yes and no, okay? Leaning more on no. Here are some reasons for that. The Chargers, I think currently who are the 6th seed, are going to still be fighting for a better seed, okay? We can still push into the 5th seed. And as of right now, the Chargers, let's say at the 6th seed, right? They say at the 6th seed, and things stay the same as they are right now. The Chargers would be facing the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, good team. I think we can take them, but a very, very good team. But let's say they keep fighting, right? Let's say they win out. We defeat the Rams and the Broncos. That would put the Chargers in a very solid position for the 5th seed. And in the 5th seed, you know who you're more than likely going to be facing? The Jacksonville Jaguars, who, again, very good team. They stomped us good, right? We're a completely different team now, but it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? When you weigh the two teams side by side, I think you kind of want to face the Jags in the first round of the wild card than you do, or the first round of the playoffs than you do the Bengals. And that's what you're kind of fighting for at this point. Additionally, momentum is huge. I'll say momentum is king. You do not want to go into the postseason with 2 losses that were unnecessary. That's killing momentum, right? This also gives you time to work things out. You want to go into these next 2 weeks versus the Rams and the Broncos with, everything that you got. This gives you time to sort things out on offense. Figure out the Joe Lombardi curse. Find out a way to push the ball downfield. Use these games to address the poor offense. Momentum is king. Fix the offense. You've got 2 weeks to figure it out. Lastly, you've also got a star that needs time to acclimate. Sure, a lot of us would say, let's not roll out Joey Bosa next week. We don't need him. We find, there's no reason to risk, not having Joey Bosa in the postseason. Well, a very important part of football, too, is getting acclimated back into the NFL week-to-week life, right? He's got to find a way to get back in rhythm, and no way better than to smooth him back in over the next couple weeks. I'm not saying 100% of the snap count for Joey Bosa, but now you got an opportunity to get him back in game shape. Okay? Ease him back in versus the Rams and Broncos, and he'll be ready to hit the ground full force and full-fledged in the postseason. Now, the only exception to that rule, in terms of, yes, maybe we should rest a star, is going to be this man right here, Derwin James. Derwin James, who, again, currently in concussion protocol. I think it would be wiser than not to maybe rest him if he needs additional time. If they say, he's cleared to play next week, let's hold him out an extra week. You know what I mean? Because concussions are something you do not want to take lightly. And if you have the luxury of resting a guy an extra week or two, I say go ahead and take it, right? Maybe he can take limited snaps in our final week versus the Denver Broncos. But right now, I would say specifically with Derwin James, let's protect him for the postseason. Everybody else, I say let's go out there, sort out the offense, ease in Joey Bosa, and play to win for a better seed. All right? So with that, guys, we're going to the playoffs. The Chargers are going to the playoffs. Justin Herbert is going to the playoffs, and I could not be more excited. This team is really shaped up to be that team nobody wants to face in the first week of the postseason, man. I'm telling you that right now. They are hitting their stride at exactly the right time, and the Chargers can be as dangerous as any team if they can sort out their offense going into the postseason. Now, before we close this video, as an extra treat, guys, we weren't able to pull the winners of the giveaways as soon as I was hoping. We got deathly ill on the weekend of Christmas. We finally were able to do that today, man. We have pulled the winners for the Director's Holiday giveaway, and here are the announcements here, all right, guys? It's almost like back in the old days when you hold around the radio and see if it's snow day and your school was included. Here it is. Here it is. Here we go. The winners of the Director's Holiday giveaway. First off, we'll start with the Justin Herbert giveaway, the Justin Herbert powder blue jersey giveaway. The winner of that jersey, your name is Eric, okay? If your name is Eric, check your email. We sent instructions on how to claim it there. Congratulations to Eric. As for the Khalil Mack jersey, congratulations to Troy. He's already responded to me. He's good to go. Congratulations to Troy. And then finally, the Keenan Allen jersey giveaway, courtesy of Underdog Fantasy. The winner of that was at Bolt the Unit. Congratulations to all winners. Keep your eyes peeled. We're working on our next giveaway coming up here very soon. Should be another fun one out there, guys. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Share with me your hype in the comment section below for the Chargers. And also a very important question. Let me know what you think the Chargers should focus on in terms of preparing to go into the postseason. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been the Director. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty. One last time, Bolt fam. The Chargers are going to the playoffs.